Just like the street lights lit this town, like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down. Can't be afraid to leave this out. We got this far, don't know how. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we're gonna let it rain. Tonight, we're gonna let it rain. Tonight, we're gonna let it rain. Just like the sunrise, we're gonna let it rain. Just like a spark that's breaking out. Can't make a stop, can't turn back now. We know that there's no room for doubt. No, we can't turn back now. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we're gonna let it rain. Tonight, we're gonna let it rain. Tonight, we're gonna let it rain. Just like the sunrise, we're gonna let it rain.
Hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday. We're only doing one show today. doing
I
Java
did
and Doug's
that.
yesterday, and then this show. That was hard. That was 4 hours of streaming, and I was not in a good condition to do that. But we did it. But today we get easy mode. It's only the one show.
I don't know how I did that, and I still had to work 10 hours after I finished that. But
Oof.
I digress. I made it. But yeah, I
Kind of
don't know
same.
why I seem not to sleep a lot lately. So, I'll just be up
Oh, I
anyway.
yeah. Okay, so I look like shit, folks. I know this. I'm upright. My ear infection is continuing to be very rude. I found a combination of medicines that if I take at the same time, I get to sleep for a couple of hours, but that's it. And it hurts a lot. And
You're gonna need
also,
some antibiotics, you think?
oh, I'm on antibiotics. I'm on
Oh,
the
you
maximum
are.
dose of antibiotics. And
And
it
it's still not
might be
helping
helping.
any?
I'm not dead yet.
That's crazy.
It's it's interesting trying to get healthcare when you're a flavor of person like me. You need not apply, basically. Um, so it's fun. It's not fun. It's not even close to fun. But the reason I mention it is because my intestines do not like the combination of medicines I have to put in to be operational. And so I may have to step away. I'm going to attempt to switch to portable mode if I can, I haven't tested it on this software yet. We're probably fine. I just want to mention it up front. And also, speaking of things that I need to mention up front, I've had a few people asking, why do you do that long countdown on every show? There's a couple of reasons. The first is to make people comment, why do you do that long countdown on every show? Because comments help build engagement and spread the show through the algorithm. It's my own version of pushing the share button. But much more importantly, YouTube takes a while to send out notifications. Even if you've rung the bell, it can take upwards of 2 minutes for a notification to appear that a show is on the air. And then it can take another 45 seconds for the show to actually show up on your stream. That's 2 minutes 45. Add to the fact that we're running 24 seconds ahead of YouTube. By the time I say this, it's 22 seconds when you hear it. So but I'm not timing it precisely. I really like that song, so I just use that song. And I even built a countdown into the thing. So if you don't want to do the boogie for the countdown, you can just skip ahead to where the countdown's over. It tells you right on the screen how many seconds are left.
My thing is a lot of content creators use the countdown. I mean, like when we watch the damn show, you gotta skip to 4 to 5 minutes if you watch it post live.
Mhm. That damn show, that Chris Mallard and his
Yeah, the damn show, damn you show. But yeah, the first 5 minutes, you have to go past that first 5 minutes.
Yeah, a lot of people do, and a lot of shows will also just do idle chit chat for several minutes before they really dig into the topic. Astute viewers may have noticed I tend to do this myself because it takes a while for people to filter in, even once the notifications go out, because nobody's just holding their phone waiting for the notification, you know? So it takes a while for people to notice and wander by and so forth. And also, as Hellbound Hillbilly points out, YouTube still doesn't always even send notifications. Ah, what can
Yeah,
you
the
do?
count. Yeah, like I said, it would like Theo says, it would be too abrupt without countdown. I need a cool down before it starts to settle down. Exactly.
Yeah.
I
I I
need that.
also I also enjoy from like the host side. I enjoy the music because it's like a way to get psyched up. Like, yeah, we're gonna do the thing. I mean, anybody who's ever done theater, you appreciate the mental steps you go through as you get into character before you step out on stage. Because even being the most authentic version of myself I can be, there's elements of acting in doing this, right? Like I'm I'm doing my very best to pretend I'm not in 11 out of 10 pain right now. For example, you put on you turn your personality up to 11 is how Jacksepticeye once described it. And that's kind of true. It's not always the same aspect of your personality, but even when you're being authentic, you're still more present than you are when you're not on camera, for example. Yeah, Lil knows. Lil's been
Behind my back.
building a show herself, as I understand, and I'm looking forward to see what comes of that.
Yes, me too. I will definitely watch. I
Yeah.
support those. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. One of my big things I've said as long as I've been doing this channel, representation matters. Being visible matters. That's why I'm here. That's why Godless Engineer is here. That's why Mandisa is out there doing her thing, and Kelly's here doing her thing, and so many other people, because people need to see people like them to know that they're welcome in this community, that there's a space for them, that their voices are valued. And the more voices we have, the more diversity we have, the more ideas and perspectives. I don't mean what flavor of human you are. I mean what moves you, what motivates you, what gets your mind thinking. All of these different perspectives and experiences, that's what connects with people and helps them start to break the chains that they were born into. So yeah, more voices, please.
Exactly. We don't want the same flavor, different flavors, different different type of things for everybody. You know, your channel is different stuff than our channel, Black Non Believers does, than Chris Malice channel does. then the call-in channels, so we need that diversity of the different
Yeah.
prospects for everybody.
And don't get me wrong, there's tremendous value in having specialized channels too. Like, that we all know certain channels where they only do a certain kind of thing, like a specifically theist versus atheist call-in shows, for example. And there's tremendous value in that. Many of us in the community have found great solace in finding that group of people who are all going through the same stage of their deconstruction together. It does help. There's the transpositions that I do Thursday evenings with Bree and a few other people. There's people who need that, who need the reassurance of that community. And, Black non-believers, Black free thinkers, there's a group for everybody of the flavor of human. And that's really, really useful too, because we all value all of us. It's kind of like a super culture thing, you know?
Yes. I want to say thank you to Lil of all trades. I appreciate your compliment. And I have was it a couple blonde pieces too. So yeah. But I appreciate your compliment. I like doing braids because they last a long time. I don't have to worry about getting up every day and doing my hair because I am natural. And as a Black person, it's very hard to maintain natural hair. Wash day
Oh,
is like wash day is like 4 hours long.
Sumami has a new greeting. I've been seeing cello for as long as I can remember, but now we're tardigrades and kittens. That's fucking cool. Tardigrades are damn near immortal, and kittens are immune to fall damage. I'm not sure which one's
And
preferable, but
which one am I?
I it's a good question. Maybe we'll find out for science.
Mhm.
But speaking of finding things out, we do actually have, as I often do, I try to have a central theme, topic, or thesis to address on these shows. And today, we have a video that I've been meaning to get to since I was just doing random streams when I had the time. It's been in my holster for a minute, but this seems like a good opportunity to do it. It is longtime frenemy of the community, Josh McDowell, son of the legendary mediocre theologian Sean McDowell. No, Josh McDowell. He's Sean. His father's Josh. It doesn't matter. They're all McDowells. It's fine. Josh gets into trouble for pretending to be an atheist to train Christians, but he teaches them in a weird way that, like, not only strawmans atheism, but dehumanizes atheists. And there's been controversies about that for a while. He is unfailingly polite in individual conversation, but he makes no bones about the fact that he doesn't consider you to be quite fully human, which is kind of not ideal. So, in his efforts to better understand the people who are fully human, the Christian apologist flavor of human, the only ones who actually count, he sent out a survey to 100 fellow apologists of every denomination, asking them for what their single favorite best piece of evidence for not just God, but Christianity being true was. And out of 100 of the world's leading apologists, y'all place your bets on which, if any, evidence actually put in an appearance. It should be fun. In fact, I'll start a poll in the chat because it should, people love polls, and it'll be fun. Let's see. How much evidence will there be? Let's say 10%. Let's say 25%. Let's say 50%. And you know what? Let's throw in a null hypothesis and put a 0% in there. Seems fair. That seems reasonable to me. almost all of you already know the answer, but maybe you're having faith in Dr. McDowell's abilities here. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. It should be fun. All right. As is often the case, this is actually a fairly short video, but we're probably going to have a lot to say. So we'll see how this goes.
I asked 100 leading Christian apologists what they think is the best argument for the existence of God.
I love that he shows his list, but a bunch of them are anonymous Talbot School of Theology professor. It's fellow Biola professors. He works at Biola, the what is it? Bible Institute of Los Angeles. It's just the initials. They call it Biola now because they don't want it to be expressly Bible themed. But like they're leading apologists, but they're anonymous. Brilliant.
William Lane Craig, Wes Huff, Nancy Piercy, Alan Parr, Trent Horn, Stuart Connectley, and more. Some of the answers were
in Josh's opinion. Sean's opinion. Jesus Christ, I have to stop mixing. All these white guys look the same to me. I'm sorry. As Dr. McDowell makes it clear, his standard for top apologist is a bar so low that even William Lane Craig might have trouble finding it to lower it further. My goodness. Alan fucking Parr. Oh, wow. Okay.
completely expected, and some of them totally took me by surprise. We're gonna look at 5 categories from the least cited to the most cited, most popular, and highlight some crucial apologists along the way. We're also gonna look at why Os Guinness and Doug Grotice wouldn't answer my question. Let's start with
Who knows who Doug Guinness and Oz Grotice? I assume Sean knows how to pronounce his own friends' names, so I'll just go with that. Does anybody know who the fuck those people are? Because I've been digging into the world of apologetics for several years now. I don't believe I've ever encountered either of those people, but they're some of the most famous apologists in the world. Uh-huh.
the smallest category, which I've dubbed existential. These are kind of personal encounters or experiences.
Existential, personal encounters. Okay, does that count as evidence? First, Muttley Von Erich sends a super chat for 2 Great Britain pounds, maybe? No, that doesn't seem right. It's 2 something. Thank you, Muttley. And says, has he got a Kent Hovind DM screen? I'm not sure about that. He might. He seems to be in touch with every other lying bastard for Jesus. I mean, top shelf apologist. But yeah, personal experience. This is a tricky one. It's the one thing that most of our top counter apologists say they cannot debunk, because we, unlike our counterparts on the theist side, we don't run around saying we know what is in your head. We know what you're thinking. Like, oh, you actually don't believe in theism and you're suppressing the truth in your pretend righteousness or whatever, like the inverse of their favorite Bible passage. But because we won't tell people what they think, we don't really have a good counter to, oh, I had a personal experience, which is why everyone, up to and including William Lane Craig, ultimately falls back on, I had a personal experience. I don't know. Do any of you all have... Oh, Muttley says I was correct. It's Great Britain pounds. That seems strange to me, because like the pound symbol that was for British pounds originally. So why? I don't know. I just work here. Yeah, as
And
Lil
I'm just
says, we're
visiting.
also okay with saying I don't know. Yeah,
They seem to be like, you say that,
yeah,
they like get butthurt. Like, are you serious? You don't know the answer. You don't either. Saying some
yeah,
wizard did it. There's no
the
excuse.
wizard.
It's just a magical wizard in the sky that lives on clouds.
Who hates shellfish for some reason. It's fascinating. I
But
don't know.
love slavery.
Yeah, a big fan of that. Yeah. The best I've got for dealing with personal experiences is being relatable, right? Like I have personal experiences too, as has been coming up a lot recently. I've had a near-death experience, and it's very different from anything I've ever heard anyone else describe, which indicates to me that it's a phenomena produced by the brain based on whatever programming has been put on that brain, which is why Christians see Jesus and Muslims see Muhammad and Buddhists see the Buddha and so on and so forth. I don't see any of those because I wasn't programmed with any of those. You know what I mean? I've kept exactly what I saw to myself because I want to have that scientific control of people telling me what they saw without trying to tell me what I saw, so that they can like use it as a hook to say, yeah, there's some objective reality to that because I saw the same thing, So I haven't made public what my experience was. But if I do ever encounter somebody who has the same kind of story, then we might have some scientific investigation to do. As it stands, though, my default position is skepticism, that it's probably generated by the brain until and unless we have reason to believe otherwise. So that's just me, though. But yeah, we can interrogate personal experiences. Like a lot of these people, what's his name? Sal. Shit. Not Sal the creationist Sal, but Sal the former physicist. I can't think of his last name. He's one of those people who's like, "Oh, I had a vision of a man and now I'm Christian." I'm like, "Okay, what did the man look like?" "Oh, well, he was a ghostly figure." "Okay, but what did he say that made you sure he was Jesus?" "Well, I mean, who else could it be?" Like if you interrogate these personal experiences very often, there's still a layer of wishful thinking. There's deliberate interpretation, like if a Muslim saw exactly the same vision, they would say it's obviously the prophet because who else could it be,
Were you hallucinating? Don't think about that. But I really think that Paul was hallucinating.
Yeah, well, that's the whole thing, and Paul kind of set the stage for it, right? Like anytime you do hallucinate, if you believe in the power of supernaturalness, there is no such thing as a hallucination. It's just the spirit came upon you and revealed something or something. It just, oh my goodness.
I went
Will
on, so
Ember just
I
works here, but employee of
I'm
the
a
month
yeah.
record holder. Oh
Well,
goodness.
I'm just a customer. I just visit.
Well,
Is that
you're
Robin?
always welcome here,
Hey,
and
Robin.
all the girls from Java and Jugs can pop in and out as they feel like. I heard a rumor AJ may stop by tomorrow because we're gonna be exploring eyeballs and brains and how they might point to Jesus
Dang,
or
you
something
been
like that.
see my son in the background.
Mhm. See, you're having a personal experience.
Yeah. I think he just gave us the finger. I think is what he just
I
did.
think,
Yeah, I can really see him too good, but I think it's what he just did.
yeah, but he sideways.
Yeah.
So whatever that's supposed to mean, it's an
Uh,
adventure. Ay, ay, ay. All
but
right,
yeah, let's
let's
watch
let
some
John
more.
continue.
With God. So, for example, this is one that surprised me. The great John Lennox said a transform.
Calling John Lennox great. Wowzers. So John Lennox, for anybody who doesn't know, he's a mathematician, and that's about all he understands. He is like a 101 level dropout of philosophy. He's If you thought a high schooler was full of sophistry and big dreams, you should hear John Lennox talk sometime because it will make you feel so intelligent.
I feel stupid because I thought you said John Lennon at first. So he goes to 1980.
Nope, he's
But,
an
but you
English.
said Lennox, the mathematician.
He
Mm,
occasionally quotes C.S. Lewis, and that's about as
okay.
profound as he gets.
Okay.
And, we've talked about C.S. Lewis before. I'm not gonna tangent on that right now, but, like,
No.
holy crap.
Life he considers the best evidence for the existence of God. So think about that. Oxford professor, science and philosophy and religious background, says a
Mathematics, no science, no philosophy, religion, but in the same way a layman has religion. Like, a Christian is not a Christian scholar unless they study the shit, you know? Like just a lay believer, you might know some stuff, but you don't make a habit of studying it. I don't know.
Changed life is the most powerful piece of evidence for God. So by transformed life, we mean somebody whose life is broken in some sense and then is transformed by Jesus. Of course, we see this in
the other direction too. There's a number of members in our community who were told over and over, you can't make your life better. You need Jesus to save you. And as soon as they dropped the Jesus belief, they started making their own lives better. Former addicts, alcoholics, past criminals, all sorts of people who are good, kind, caring people now who've built some stability into their own lives because they stopped waiting on Jesus. They took the initiative and did it their own damn selves. So that thing kind of goes both ways. A person gets a really lucky break and things get better for them. Oh, praise whatever flavor of God you choose to believe in. Fine, if it makes you happy to think so. But when people do it themselves, when they stop waiting on a divine blessing or God to get around to it or whatever, I don't know. I was on Brentley's channel last week. He was doing a TikTok debate, so I hopped in to help him out as I often do because those are wicked fun. We were talking to a theist who, he did the same thing, personal experience, right? My life got better when I started to believe. He says, "Oh, I know God would never put bad people in my path now that I'm a Christian." And I said, "Well, it's the same
Really?
God who put the bad people in your path before, wasn't it?" And he just kind of it just stumped him. It was like hitting a wall. He could not wrestle with that concept. It was just, oh, that's different.
'Cause I need some explaining to do.
Mhm.
Because he sure put some bad people in my life. You know, imaginary wizard in the sky.
I try to take a more pragmatic view of humans. Like there are very few humans who are all good, but there are very few humans who are all bad either. I understand that most people, even people who share the majority of my values, have some aspects about themselves that I might not personally approve of. Likewise, I definitely have some aspects of my personality that the majority of people may not approve of. That's part of being human. We accept people for who they are, not for who we insist they ought to be.
And that's what makes
Because
each individual individually.
exactly. We expect the same courtesy in return. And for the most part, we get along pretty well. Occasionally, there's a falling out, sometimes a very dramatic one between specific individuals within the community. And that's real unfortunate when that happens. But the alternative seems to be people dictating from the top how all of us are supposed to live our lives and who we're allowed to be. And that's just not something I could live with, you know?
I'm gonna share this. This is kind of funny though. I'm gonna kind of read it, but one of my Facebook friends, we used to work together, and so they posted something that Trump about the prayer needs to be around. And we've always been a nation of prayer. And then my friend on a comment, he said, prayer needs to be, hold on, I'm gonna find it. I just deleted it. Hold on 1 second. What am I doing? There we go, I found it. Okay.
It's hiding.
Yeah. So Trump thing, he said, America's always been a nation that believes in the power of prayer. Together we can make this country greater, stronger, and more united and more favorable than ever before. But my friend on the topic, he says, keep believing out of schools. The only appropriate places are your private residence and sites of worship, which I agree. I think he's a Christian as well. And I agree. But the funny thing is, the Christians on his page are so butthurt, saying, so I'm free to worship, but on your terms. That's the problem. It's taken out of schools. Now look onto the effery. He needs to clarify Christian prayer because we all know Islam is not good. So that's the comments that we're getting. And I'm like, are you serious? I'm not even gonna comment on that because I'm irate listen reading that stuff. Like who do you think you are?
Yeah. I mean, I get what people say about Islam, but like there are extremists and fundamentalists in every group, and they do horrible
Exactly.
times they seize political power and do really horrible things. But when you're dealing with the average run-of-the-mill common person, most Christians are just normal people. Some of them are nice, some of them are mean, but they're just people. And the same is true of Islam. Like the very first
Yeah.
Muslim I ever met was when I was an over-the-road truck driver and I was wandering around the Iowa 80 truck stop, biggest truck stop on earth. Cool place. Drop by and see it if you ever can. I was walking around the parking lot to get a feel for the size of the parking lot, and there was this guy who'd come out to do his dawn prayers. And he says, "Hey, do you want to come pray with me?" And I was like, "Why the fuck not? New experience, right?" And so I did the thing, and it was very peaceful. It was very peaceful. I mean, I didn't feel a connection to Allah or Mecca or whatever the fuck is supposed to happen, but it was still very nice. I mean, just a guy doing his thing.
Yeah.
So
If you want to do that,
this
it's your own personal thing. But don't bring me in it if I don't want to do it.
yeah, if this concept that Islamic prayer is bad because it's Islamic, like, not only is that really gross for probably racist reasons, but it's also stupidly hypocritical because one could just as easily and correctly say the same thing about Christian prayer.
Exactly.
It's fucking do we have need of more people with wrenches in the chat? Because I'm seeing a couple people mention modding.
Yeah. Is there anybody putting anything trolly or something? I have not seen that either.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe it's a person that has
I'm trying
blocked
to
me
see.
personally, so I can't see them.
I don't see
I'm
them
not sure.
either. I'm looking. I don't see anybody.
I don't know. I know Robin is driving and that's it's Robin's a driver, she's been down and out for a bit, but it's bound to happen. We appreciate you being here, Robin. And
How
but yeah,
beautiful, Ryan.
I'll add a couple more wrenches real
I
quick.
am. Am I still
Um
echoing? No.
let's see. I'm deputizing people. I'm not even
Beautiful, Ryan.
if y'all don't want to be mods, just say so and I'll fix it. But like I just picked a couple people that I know for sure can do the thing. Um just in case anything does come up and
Jump off.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Have our back.
Yeah.
Oh, so you just added Ryan as a mod because she says I just leveled up, bitches.
Honestly, there's two kinds of mods on my channel. The people who do the actual modding and the people who have a need to share links, other creators, for example. We call it a
Okay.
courtesy wrench, right?
Okay.
And Ryan is capable of both because Ryan has stuff to link to as well as the capacity for modding. And Lil is, as I understand it, about to do the same thing once Lil has the new channel cooking or what I don't know. It's going to be a surprise to me too, but it should be fun. So yeah, goodies for everyone. We're being efficient up in here. It's like Christmas. Speaking of Christmas,
It's
I
wild how
wonder if any of our
evangelism
apologist friends
became
are going to head in
America's
that
biggest
direction. Well, the best
export.
evidence of Jesus is the fact we
Yeah,
all
true.
celebrate Christmas, whether we're Christian or not, which is kind of true because even
But
if
they
you
stole
don't
from
do
the pagan religion.
yeah,
They don't want to talk about that, though.
no, they definitely do not. That was just a precursor to Jesus. That's all. It was a prophecy, a warning sign he'd be coming or whatever. But I mean, like, even if you don't do presents and put up a tree and have a turkey or some other heretical thing for dinner on December 25th,
Yeah.
we still can't go to many stores. Many of our jobs are still closed. Like, you have no
Yeah.
choice but to celebrate Christmas in many of these English speaking countries anyway.
Yeah. Celebrating the
Bible window.
holidays is just a way for me to eat good food and spend time with family and have a day off of
Mhm.
work.
That was my favorite part about both Thanksgiving and Christmas. I mean, obviously, I like Christmas a little bit better because presents are cool when you're a little kid. But my favorite part was food with family. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that's
Same
one
here.
of the reasons I wanted to have a fuck ton of kids, because when I was old and all my older relatives had gone on to whatever comes next, I'd still have a huge family that I could have, big banquets with and whatnot.
Well, I have 5 children and they don't really want any kids, so that's a bummer, but that's their choice.
Yeah, my 3 oldest are kind of in a similar boat. One may adopt later in life when
Mm.
their adult life is more stable and they feel like they're ready to. Um, Another one, no interest whatsoever, and another does not like kids. Like, she'll like any nieces and nephews she ends up with, but, like,
But I
she
don't know,
doesn't
yeah.
want to have to deal with kids, like, as a parent ever.
Yeah. I have two. One from my son, the other one is from my ex's daughter. That's still called my daughter. So those are the two that I have. But, whatever. So I have to love up on them.
Yeah,
Then I have my
yeah, well,
dog over here
that's
too. As my daughter said, that's her child. That's my grand dog.
yes. And it's kind of the roll of the dice with children. Like, the reason I had kids so young is because I did the math. I was like, I'm gonna have grandkids while I'm still young enough to be able to chase them around. I have the best odds of seeing great grandkids. But once that child becomes a person in their own right, your wishes go out the window because it's their life?
That's their life, and you have to respect it.
Hmm. So say la vie. I don't know. Maybe I'll end up with adopted grandkids. Maybe my youngest will end up wanting 90 kids, but I'll be very old by then. Of course, I say that now as someone who younger me would have called very old already. Oh, you're over 30? Shit, you're ancient. Such is life. We'll see. We'll see. Oh well. I see Lil is linking a Discord. This one,
Is
yes.
that
Let's see shoot. It opened over here. Yeah, Lil of All Trades Discord. Cool.
oh, that's a
So, yeah,
Discord.
I just
Okay.
dropped in and
Okay.
it's still being set up, but that way you'll be, if you want to pop in, it'll be there. I know people have been pestering me to get my own Discord up and running again, and I really, really should. I just haven't had the time or energy or whatever. Technically there is a Discord. It's one of the perks available to the Patreon members,
Mm.
but I haven't had time or energy to do anything with it, and I really, really should, because I I could benefit so much as a creator with having closer ties with the community, like people being able to reach me at odd hours when I'm not on the air or not in someone's chat, for example. Send me videos to review, suggestions for stories on the transpositions, all kinds of things. I could be so much more time efficient if I just had a better network, like a working Discord server, but I haven't had the time to make the thing happen.
Well, Purple, I am 50 and I still feel that I'm young, at heart at least. So, yeah, I'll be 51 in January, so I think I'm doing pretty good. Actually, I feel better than I have in a long time, being my age.
Yeah, it's a weird aside from, the recent flare up of infection issues and the ongoing abdominal issues from getting stabbed back in January, um, and other things related to that, other than the immediate medical issues, physiologically, I definitely feel older than I did in my 20s, but I also feel better than I did overall. Like, I can't run as fast and I can't lift as much, but there's a different reason for that. But, like, as far as being me and in I don't know how to describe it, in my body. It's more so than it was when I was younger. But I don't know. It's complicated.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Let's finish watching what this Joker is talking about.
Yeah. Oh well, yep, we got Purple dropping in and Al dropping in and I know I get laughed at some people who are like, bitch, you only 45.
I'm still
What are you
thick and
talking about
grippy
feeling
though.
old?
I know that's right, Christian Slays. Thick and grippy.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
happy belated birthday, Purple.
Yay. I got to meet Purple at the ARC protest. We both did. And you
Yes,
know
we
what?
both did. Yes.
Purple really is a triceratops. Just so you know.
Yes.
Just in case you were
Yes.
wondering.
Blind
Yes.
man, and John says, all I know is I was blind, but now I see. It's someone's testimony.
He were blind, but now we see. Dave is here. Hello, Dave. As we've been keeping an eye on Dave, sending him tots and bears and whatever things it is that we non-religious folk do.
It hurts.
Yeah. And you know, he's in a way I'm envious, Dave. Like I don't envy you what you just had to go through. A major surgery very suddenly for anybody
Yeah.
who hasn't been keeping track, and I'm so glad that you're doing well. But like the fact that you had something like that come up and then just did what was necessary to have it taken care of, and now you're on the recovery side of things, and I'm over here with a much more minor issue, and it's fucking killing me.
Oh,
And I
you're
can't
being
get the pain
discharged.
under control.
Cool.
It's I don't know. It's pretty wild, but I'm glad. Yeah, Dave is being discharged. Yay. We're
Congratulations.
excited. Yeah, Dave has been a huge part of the community generally, and in the past year has especially become more prominent by doing more shows, more well recognized community centric shows like Saturday Night at the Atheists, The Night Watch, and others. Um, yeah, if you're not subscribed to Dave, you know what up with that. My random plug for this part of the morning.
Or experience of transformation by God. The next category, I dubbed this one unique arguments. So these are arguments that one or two people held, and I kind of lumped them together. So J. Steve Miller, if you follow this channel, you'll recognize I've had him on a bunch of times to talk about near-death experiences. He's the only one that cited near-death experiences. No,
That's interesting because we know another person definitely on that list is going to be Gary Habermas. And Gary is known for three things. His minimal facts argument that no one takes him seriously for, except Mike Lacona, apparently. But Shroud of Turin advocacy and near-death experiences. It's weird that Gary wouldn't reference near-death experiences. But I don't know, maybe he's going with his minimal facts. He does have books to sell, after all.
think this is a huge growing field more apologists need to lead into, but he's done some amazing work on that. Trent Horn, a Catholic apologist, was the only one who said contingency. Now, this is a kind of causological.
That's because Trent Horn is the only one who thinks the contingency argument counts as evidence. So, for anybody not familiar, the contingency argument is it's a variant, kind of partly the cosmological argument, partly the teleological argument. It's a philosophical thing that everything that exists didn't necessarily have to exist. So, for it to have turned out the way it did, it must rely on a chain of cause and effects that go back to something that was necessary, that had to be the way it is. And then via the magical power of non sequitur, that necessary thing, that's what we call God. Even though the God he actually worships bears no resemblance to this philosophical necessary something. So yeah.
argument, but it moves from the existence of contingent things, like the universe, that didn't have to exist, as saying the best explanation for its existence is a necessary being.
Well, that's a simpler way of putting it, and thank you, Sean, for doing that. But it kind of highlights another level of problem with that argument. In addition to the giant non sequitur at the end, it shows that ultimately it's an argument from incredulity. It's saying, here's a thing I don't have an explanation for. So this made up explanation is the best explanation because I don't know a better one. What are we doing? Mm-hmm. Oh, goodness. Mighty Filbert says Sean McDowell still believes that Heaven's for Real Kid actually went to heaven.
They
He
didn't?
may. I don't know. I don't know how much of what Sean talks about he actually believes because he's been so thick in the sauce for so long. It could well be being raised by Josh McDowell and living the life he's led that he is so steeped in the sauce he buys into it. But on the other hand, he's seen behind the curtain of so many of these awful arguments that he very well could know it's all bullshit. And he's just putting on this PR face as a means to keep the business going, you know? Not to be cynical about it. Again, he's a polite enough man, but that doesn't mean he's not evil, you know? You can be evil and polite at the same time. Just like you can be good and abrasive at the same time. Half of my favorite people in this space of the YouTubes are pretty abrasive from time to time, and yet they're very good people.
Sometimes you have to be that way, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I've been known to come off as kind of abrasive a few times myself.
You don't want people to think that you easy and they can just run over you.
I mean, well, easy is a whole other subject.
Yeah, but you gotta set this straight. I would name nameless, but you watch some of the the hosts on the call shows, and I'm like, damn, they mean as hell. Because they've been doing it so long and they used to that same argument. So they tired of it. But me, I'm like, dang, that's kind of mean. That person is just trying to have a call and you cussing them out.
No, I get it. Absolutely. There's a little bit of jadedness that can come with that kind of thing. At the same time, I try, it doesn't always work, but I try to keep in mind that while it's frustrating that, every new 18-year-old theist is just picking up, Josh McDowell or Lee Strobel's book for the first time and thinks these are mind-blowingly good arguments, and it never occurs to them to even look into what criticism there is about these things. So they call in with the same argument over and over because they're brand new and fresh and they've been lied to their whole lives. But on the flip side, they're just people. Like, yes, they could have done better critical thinking. They could have looked at any past episode of a call-in show ever before calling in for the first time, but they're still people. And every argument is somebody's first argument. And I'm not saying that the aggressive no, you're done style of doing things is wrong. I mean, obviously it's worked very well for a couple of creators for a very long time, and more importantly, it's been of great cathartic benefit to the community, even if it doesn't help get through to the specific caller. So there is a positive net value to it. Just that it takes, like I was saying earlier, a diversity of voices. A person who takes calls with that more aggressive style might not get through to someone who would be more amenable to a person who's willing to meet them where they're at and walk them through why their ideas are very stupid. But that works the other way around too. There are people that I might spend a month hand-holding through why the teleological argument makes no damn sense when talking to, say, Forrest Valkai, who just goes, no, that's fucking stupid. Like one sentence and accomplishes the same thing, you know?
Yeah. I was like, oh, slow down, man.
Yeah. Diversity of voices. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Two
You be
people,
cracking me
Mary
up,
Jo
though.
Sharp and Ruslan KD, said the argument from reason. And there's different versions of this that
I don't know who the first person is. Ruslan.
I'll be
Alas,
one of
I
those
don't.
people.
Yeah, Ruslan is a YouTube apologist and also apparently a rap artist, I guess. He
They're
has a
not
channel.
good.
It's called Bless God Studio because Ruslan is so great that God asks him for Ruslan's blessing, I guess. But I have a clip of him somewhere. I haven't imported it into the software, but it's basically him saying, we're all bad people. All of us are wicked and evil, which is why we need laws. We need laws because we are bad people. And that is sort of the central tenet of that flavor of evangelical Christianity. This idea that everyone isn't just sinful, isn't just tainted, but is wicked and horrible to their core. And only God can redeem them even a little bit. It's extremely harmful and destructive. And Ruslan throws ideas like that around like candy. He's not the only one, but that doesn't make it suck less.
C.S. Lewis and Alvin Plantinga gave, but it's basically a move from the reliability of our cognitive faculties to understand truth in the world to the best explanation being not some naturalistic blind process, but that we were built to understand truth in a certain fashion. There's some other arguments.
There's something to that. So when he's talking about the argument from reason, again, not actually evidence, it's an argument with a built-in non sequitur when it isn't proposed in a circular form like precepts do. Precepts have a version of this argument, right? Like the current debate review that Mark and I are doing with Godless Engineer is Joel from Think Institute is saying the fact you can know anything proves God, because how else would you know anything? You know, it's obviously circular because he's a precept and that's what they do. It's fucking wild, but it's got that same degree of non sequitur. Like there is a reason for thing, could be anything you want to insert. There's a reason for it. Incredulity means, since I don't know what it is, God becomes the best answer, but not just any God, not just a concept of a God, my specific flavor of God for some reason, which I will not articulate. You know, it drives me batty.
Transcendental argument, consciousness, and the argument from desire that people gave as well. Now, the third category, this is
Same sort of thing. And I'm glad Sean put them all together because they are effectively the same argument with something different substituted in. You know, the laws of logic working, the transcendental argument, they're the same argument. Here's a property about the universe, math, objective morality, which isn't actually a thing, but whatever. All of those things, whatever you put in there, it's, I don't understand why this is the way it is. Could it have been a natural emergent property of the universe? Maybe, but I'd rather say God is the best explanation out of pure motivated reasoning. There's no actual reason. I just don't know a better alternative. Therefore, it's my particular interpretation of my particular denominations, of my particular translation of my favorite holy book's mythology. It just, but why though? Because I can't be wrong. I'd be believing the wrong thing if I were wrong. So that can't possibly be the case. Oh goodness. It's frustrating as hell.
given by 15 apologists that I asked. And this is basically the evidence for Jesus. So this could be the life, the teachings, the impact, or the miracles of Jesus.
This one could conceivably qualify as evidence because, I mean, it has evidence right in the titles. But there's a few problems. You may be familiar with the concept of mythicism. That is a scholarly perspective that Jesus is a mythological figure who never actually lived. Now, I personally don't subscribe to mythicism as like a solid knowledge claim, but the fact apologists have never been able to rule out mythicism is a bit of a problem. The fact they can't prove Jesus ever even actually existed for a guy who supposedly is the incarnation of the all-powerful creator of the entire cosmos, That's a pretty big lack, you know? Just my take, though.
Jesus, they consider the best evidence for God. Now, this first one, let's say the least surprising thing in this entire study is, of course, Gary Habermas, who's probably studied the resurrection as much or more than anyone who's ever lived, said, drumroll, the resurrection. But Catholic apologist Stephanie.
Okay, so that would be his minimal facts, I suppose, because that's what the minimal facts are geared towards, is demonstrating there was a resurrection. Except when you look at Gary's minimal facts, that's not the result you get. We can grant all of Gary's minimal facts, which vary depending on which version of the argument he's talking about, but effectively it boils down to Jesus lived, Jesus was executed by Romans, we don't know where Jesus's body is. And sometimes there's a few other details, like there were a minimum of 2 people who claimed to see him after death. Not that they actually did, that's not a fact. But 2 people who claimed, in fact, it's not even that strong. It's people hundreds of years later claimed that 2 people claimed. It's that telephone game version of making a claim. But yeah, that's our minimal facts is if Jesus lived, Jesus died. That's not controversial. Nobody's going to quibble with that. It's the magic part after the fact that we want a demonstration of. Some reason to believe is a real thing. And even Habermas himself can't produce it. It's not one of his facts.
Because the
So,
argument is that he was just an apocalyptic preacher that didn't even a lot of things that he said didn't even come true. So he was a false apocalyptic preacher. And there was
mhm.
several others at that time as well. But
Oh yeah, there were shit
why they
tons.
choose to worship him, we have no idea.
Yeah, they constantly point to Josephus as a reference to show that Jesus probably existed, but the same works of Josephus, the Antiquities of the Jews, they talk about hundreds of other preachers running around just like Jesus with the same apocalyptic message, claiming to be the anointed high holy muckety muck who's going to drive out the Romans and whatnot, which may be why there was a rebellion a few years after Jesus was executed for rebellion-ish. It's not super important when it comes to the religion itself, but they don't pay any attention to their own sources and what comes in the next few sentences. And this is how you get conspiracy theories like young earth creationism, right? Like every piece of evidence, and to the credit of young earth creationists, they are conspiracy theorists, but at least they bring citations sometimes. They take things out of context, they cherry pick, they misleadingly edit the quotes they use, which is why we always suggest whenever they reference anything, look it up and read the next sentence, and it will almost
Exactly.
always debunk the thing they just said. But at least they bring citations. Mainstream Christians like McDowell here, not so much.
Gray Connors and Stuart Conneckley also specifically said the resurrection. Now, interestingly enough, my father, Josh McDowell.
Yes, Josh is the father. Yeah, the resurrection would be great evidence for Christianity. In fact, it would, I dare say, be demonstrable proof of Christianity, at least to the extent that Jesus magically rose from the dead. But the problem is we have to demonstrate that's a thing that actually happened. It's like our Islamic friends saying Muhammad split the moon. Like, that would be really great proof that Muhammad had supernatural power. Not necessarily that the claims about Allah are true, but that he had supernatural power. But to believe that claim as evidence, you have to show me something that says that actually happened. I have no way to verify the moon actually got split. I have no way to verify Jesus actually rose from the dead. You know, it'd be great evidence if it were evidence, but it's just another claim, which in turn needs its own support.
Yeah, because the fact that the evidence in the Bible itself was written like at least 50 years after he supposedly died. So For a long time, I thought that Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John wrote the Bible myself. That's how stupid I was.
Hmm.
Till I started investigating and found out it was not true. So I was raised on a bed of lies.
Yeah, a lot of people are led to believe that. A lot of people are led to believe things that are very not true. And I don't know why so many preachers, pastors, and apologists do that. Spread things that are definitely misinformation, like young earth creationists saying, oh, Noah's flood literally happened. And then people later on learn it definitely didn't. And it fractures their faith. Like, maybe don't lie to people and you won't be losing people so fast. But I guess from their point of view, if you're lying to them about God, you may as well lie to them about the fictional stories made up, the fan fiction surrounding the God myth.
The
Like,
sad thing is, some of
what's
them
another
might
one?
even believe too, though, with what they're preaching. Some of them do. I really do believe that.
They might.
Not all of them, but some of them do believe that, though. Yeah,
It's hard to say.
some of
Like I
them
said,
do.
far be it from
Yeah.
me to proscribe what is in someone else's head. I'm convinced from statements and behaviors that many of them know it's a lie and are peddling the lie anyway for whatever reason, money, political power, what have you. But maybe I'm cynical. I am not convinced, based on actions, behavior, things they say and do, that any of them actually do believe. But maybe they do, and they're just acting in a very neutral way that doesn't convey anything one way or the other. It's hard to say. But again, I won't say what people actually believe. It's just very clear that many of them don't actually believe it.
Was the only one who responded with fulfilled prophecy. Now, he's made a case for the scriptures and the resurrection, but
His dad, his answer, his evidence was fulfilled prophecy. So, like we were just saying, Jesus is a failed apocalyptic preacher. According to the Bible's own guidelines for determining who's a false prophet or not, is if the prophecy doesn't come true, false prophet, right? Like in Isaiah, the city of Tyre would never be rebuilt, and yet there is a city of Tyre today in the same place. So Isaiah is a false prophet because that prophecy was not true. Same thing with Jesus. Jesus said this and this and this and this, all the apocalypse stuff would happen before that generation passed away. Some of the people standing there would not taste death before all the things came to pass. And the things did not come to pass. So the prophecy didn't come true. Jesus was a false prophet. And therefore, by the Bible's own logic and the Bible's own narrative, you don't even have to step outside the Bible to see that the Bible is false. By its own criteria, Christianity is not true
Excuse me, honey.
because Jesus is a false prophet and therefore cannot be the Messiah or the Son of God or whatever else because he's a false prophet. And yet, Josh McDowell is citing that as the best reason Christianity is true. And that blows my mind a little.
fulfilled prophecy
A
being the
little.
most compelling evidence for the existence of God. And of course, there's a number of other wonderful apologists that point to Jesus. The next category is the moral argument. There's different versions of the moral argument, but it's basically a move from the existence of objective morality,
Which is not a thing. Like, like with Jesus, objective morality is a concept which we can actively demonstrate does not exist. So what are we doing here? We're taking a foundational principle, an initial premise, and trying to provide an explanation for it, except we know right off the bat the initial premise is critically flawed. Like, we're not building on anything because that thing doesn't exist. We're justifying the existence of an imaginary being with an imaginary concept, which isn't helpful. Like, using imagination to justify imagination is bad enough, but using a thing we can show is not true to demonstrate the truth of something that's in question, to me, it makes the case weaker. I don't know. Maybe I'm silly. To go in a slightly more cynical direction, because it, I can be a little jaded from time to time. It strikes me as the con man thing, right? Like the Nigerian princes. They send you emails. Hey, you know, I need to get my family fortune out of the country. And if you let me hide it in your bank account, I'll let you keep $30 million or something. Those emails are always written with typos. And there's a very good reason why. They could easily remove the typos. They really could. It's not that they're that bad at English. They could do it. They leave them there because they want the people who are willing to overlook the obvious red flags that this is a scam and will send them money anyway. It's exactly the same thing in this kind of situation. They know it's obviously awful reasoning, but they want the people who see it, acknowledge it, and still buy in anyway, because those are the people who are going to send them the money.
That we all know and see and expect others to follow, to the best explanation being a moral law giver. So the moral law points towards a moral law giver. So this is actually,
again, it's an argument, not actually evidence. Evidence for Jesus would be evidence if they had any, but alas, that one fell kind of short. But a moral argument, a 21%, that's shocking to me. My goodness. But it's
I'm trying to
exactly the
see
same as
that
the other argument.
chart. I'm
What's
about to
that?
go on my phone. I was trying to see the chart, but it's kind of hard.
Oh, yeah. I can make it bigger, probably.
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
like so. It's a
Okay.
little
Let me
bigger.
see. I gotta get up to it. I'm be blind
Yeah,
like me.
he's been running through category by
Okay.
category as they get larger.
Okay.
21%. But it's exactly the same as the other arguments. It's here's a property of the universe, except this one's unique in that it's not a property that actually exists in the real universe, but whatever. But here's a property about the universe. Incredulity, I don't know what causes that. Therefore, non sequitur, my made up fictional thing is the best explanation. Bloody hell. But you know, a piece of evidence we can demonstrate. A $5 super chat from Lil of All Trades. Thank you so much,
Thank
Lilith,
you.
who says, I'll gladly let you take my damn money, Ember. And thank you so much. I do appreciate that. I mean, first of all, because I don't have to trick people out of it. It's nice when people, you know, show support, but also because that's very helpful. Like it's appreciated, but it's also helpful. That's how I get food and pay my electric bill and things. So I very much appreciate it. Thank you.
23 people gave this. Now, this first one, no surprise, Paul Copan, who's been one of the most able and consistent defenders.
He interviewed 100 apologists, and he just said 23 people listed the moral. How is that 21%? How does he even have point percents on his chart? It said 21.1. If you interviewed 100 people, how does that happen? What's going on?
Yeah, the math not mathing in that.
Maybe
Yeah,
he should have had
for
John
sure.
Lennox help. Because mathematics is clearly not Sean's strong suit.
Of the moral argument for God today, but also Wes Huff, Gavin Ortland, the one and only Greg Kokel. We've got a UK apologist in here, Justin Brierley, and Nate Sala also point towards the moral argument. The number one category, and you could...
Cool. A bunch of people who are very bad at reasoning think that's a good reason. I love it. Holy crap. It drives me crazy because so many of these people, I won't go through every single one, but like Justin Brierley has said in his past shows, his channel is Premier Unbelievable, that he thinks the best reason for Jesus, he says the moral argument here, but he said in past shows, is the empty tomb. And that's just, what, if I walk out of my room here, I have an empty room. What does the lack of me being in the room actually prove? You know, it's an odd argument, but also, where's the damn tomb? You keep crowing about how this empty tomb is the best proof. Where is it? Let us go see I mean, I can't promise that seeing a tomb with no body in it would convince me of very much anything.
Not
But
at
the
all.
fact they can't even show us a tomb with no body in it, the total lack of evidence for this story, that just makes it like next level unbelievable. It triggers all the skepticism alarm bells, you know? Like the lowest possible standard of evidence, a room that does not have a body in it. And they can't even demonstrate that. And people say, oh, yes, yes, but that was 2,000 years ago. You're telling me
It's
that there's a
the
consistent line of belief running 2,000 years back. We can trust the manuscripts because they come from so long ago and yada, yada, yada. But they lost track of the site of the biggest miracle in human history upon which their entire belief system is based. They just lost track of it. How does that make sense? But even more than that,
make no sense.
if you actually read Ye Old Magic Fairy Tale Book, you'll find that they don't talk about the tomb until many, many, many years after the fact. It's the four gospels who talk about the tomb in some form or fashion. Some of them say that the people who discovered the tomb was empty never told anyone, which makes me wonder where the story came from. But never mind that for a minute. Paul, the one dude who supposedly saw Jesus, strangely enough, never mentions the tomb, even though that's supposed to be the big nail in the coffin, I suppose, for atheism. Never mentions it, not once. It's almost like people didn't make it up until after the people who lived at the time were gone and could no longer correct them. Almost. It's
But
very curious.
another thing about the stories is that each gospel has a different interpretation about what actually happened. They all tell different
Mhm.
story about how they saw Jesus and how the tomb was found.
Yeah, well, that's another one of those things that I talk about being like a scammer's email, a Nigerian prince's email. If you
Yeah,
put the gospel accounts side by side, you'll see areas that are clearly cut and pasted from one to another. They definitely like they plagiarized from each other, and that's whatever. But this idea that the gospels are true because they're inspired by the Holy Spirit, and then they say contradictory things. Like in one gospel, the tomb is open. In another gospel, it's closed and there's an earthquake, and then an angel rolls away the stone or whatever. Like they tell stories that cannot both be true, but it's inspired by the Holy Spirit, so it's all true. To me, that is exactly the same thing as the email from the Nigerian prince. It's showing you up front, this is false. It's clearly false. It's obviously false. A child can see it's false, but we're going to ask you to believe that it's true anyway. That's what having faith means. It's asking you to overlook the obvious typos in the email so that you subscribe to the scam. You're not just being told to believe it, you're opting in, saying, yes, fool me harder, daddy. You know? It's I believe it's a feature, not a bug. And I suspect that because, as many of you may recall, St. Augustine, I learned this in my Philosophy 101 class. St. Augustine was a university educated master degree holder of rhetoric. And he went through the Bible with a fine tooth comb. This is why the Latin Bible is so very different from the Hebrew Old Testaments, right? Because Augustine went through and changed things to make them more rhetorically compelling. He rewrote large portions of the Bible to make it more convincing. And knowing that trick of making people override their own critical thinking to opt into something they have every reason to disbelieve, while it will filter out some people, the skeptics and the less emotionally desperate folks, it will make the people who have a motive to believe anyway override their critical thinking and lock in. And those are the people who will be faithful forever. Those are the people that will go on crusades when you ask them to. Those are the people who will put their own children to death by burning them at the stake because they're not adhering to the dogmas and doctrines handed down from the man in the funny hat. Those are the people you want if you want a religion rather than just followers. Kind of
Yeah.
people, which is
And
why they made him a
sadly,
saint, I guess.
when I was evangelical, I did do missionary work. So
Yeah, the missionary thing is kind of the light side of things, you know? It's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go knock on doors and spread what I believe to be the good news."
and we had this one guy came to us at gunpoint and told us to get out, get he had a strong accent, but he was like, get out our country. So
I did
yeah.
repossessions for 3 years. I had a lot of people answer the door with a gun and tell me to get out. Not so much the country, but, like,
Well, but I
yeah,
was in
it's
Papua New Guinea, so yeah.
uh-huh.
But yeah, I got a gunpoint and was like, if we don't leave this country today, we'll kill us. But yeah, we left.
Yeah, that's valid. I mean, I had a similar approach, like, when a person pulled a gun, I just left because the car is not worth getting shot over. I can always try for the car another day. I don't I don't wanna Oh, goodness. I think I'm missing something. I'm trying to keep half an eye on the chat, and it's not working super well, but
It says I think my phone is being is it our stream or is it just my phone? On my tablet. Never mind, I guess it's okay because it's saying oops, connection lost. But now it's going to be connected now.
yeah,
So I don't know if
maybe the
there's
connection is a little intermittent today. It's been known to happen.
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
As
I
I keep
don't
saying,
either.
I just work here. And Jer says, "Damn it, Ember." I say that all day, every day. "Damn it, Ember, I was brushing my teeth when you said, 'Fool me harder, daddy.'" You're welcome. I kinda wanna do my pirated ad there, but it's not quite the right fit, so I'll just leave it for now.
Probably know what it is by this point. 52 of the apologists I asked said creation. Now, some just said creation in general.
Creation. Now, you could make an argument that that counts as evidence rather than an argument. Now, it's an argument that it's evidence instead of an it being an whatever. It's convoluted, it's complicated. Look at the trees. The very best reason the 100 best apologists came up with to believe in Christianity over every other religion or no religion boils down to look at the fucking trees.
That irritates me. The argument irritates me so much.
It's no wonder that Brian Dalton refers to them as excusagists or make believers. Like reality exists, therefore there must be a real Tor. And therefore it's the same argument. It's there's one argument ultimately, right? Every single thing they've said, not only is it not evidence, but it's the same argument. You boil it down, it comes to argument from ignorance. I don't know how a thing, and then a non sequitur. Therefore, this made up thing.
Only Jesus can make trees.
Ah, yes, yes. That's how we know Jesus was a gardener, because only Jesus can make trees. Yeah.
Wait, he was a gardener and a carpenter? Wow.
Well, to be a carpenter, first you have to make the trees, right? That's how you get.
Oh, I'm so yeah. My mistake, Lord.
Yeah.
But trees in the desert. I mean, I know they have certain kind of trees, but the trees to make stuff like that, I don't know. I don't know where to get that stuff, but
Mish
You know,
Bob
but
says, I studied apologetics at a Christian college, and the very best they had to offer were more sophisticated versions of Look at the Trees. And now that we're on this argument, and we see that it's constructed the same way and for the same reason as all the other arguments, from personal experience to moral law to all the various things, it's the same argument with the same two logical fallacies in the same places. They're just substituting the thing the argument is supposedly about. We can see that they are all the same argument, just with different words swapped in. They're playing Mad Libs.
so my question to you, what is worse, that argument or the watchmaker one?
The watchmaker, it's more complicated, so it's capable of fooling more sophisticated people. But in my
Okay.
opinion, that is an even worse argument, because if you drill down into the entailments, you one of the earliest videos I ever did on my channel was responding to a new apologist, right? His channel was very small, the same as mine at the time, and he had just come out, and he came out with a video about the watchmaker argument and explaining why it was
Okay.
so compelling. And I can't remember exactly the way he phrased it, but the word choice he used carried an entailment that not only did his God not exist, but that no gods could exist. And I was like, bravo. I have never seen an apologist not just knock down his own God, but rule out the
But
possibility of
everybody
any God,
else's.
period, before. And then he deleted his channel. Now, I'm not going to say that it was because of me, but it was immediately after I published my response video to his thing, calling him out for proving God didn't exist with his own argument. So I used to have the banner on top of every YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I started putting like those World War I flying ace kill marks that they'd put on their fuselage, like the number of Germans they'd shot down or whatever. They put a stamp on their or a stencil on their fuselage. I started putting those on my channel. His was the first one, the first apologist. Like, I not only defeated his argument, but I knocked him the fuck out of the sky. And so I started keeping track. I went after a couple of flat earthers, and I knocked them completely out of the conversation. They disappeared from YouTube, never to be seen or heard from again. They weren't exactly big names, but whatever. And I just started racking up. I got to like 17 kill marks before I finally just changed my banner. I'm like, it's getting a little cluttered. We're gonna stop doing that now. So, support my Patreon, because I'm doing the important work of actually dispatching the enemy. Now, it'll be a long time before I can permanently take down someone like William Lane Craig. I can knock down his arguments all day, but to get him to actually hang it up, that's a little harder, because he's a very dishonest man, right? But I don't just engage with these guys. I don't just platform their ideas and then dismantle them. When I can, I shoot them the fuck down. And in my opinion, that makes the world a better place. And if you support that kind of thing, do consider supporting at patreon.com/betterthanember, or go to betterthanember.com and find a bunch of other ways that you can support: one-time donations, or if you don't have much cash, I understand. I don't have much cash. I'm very poor. I'm very poor. So if, like me, you don't have much money to spread around, you can help the channel in other ways. You can subscribe. You can hit the like button on this.
Like, yep. Comment,
Watch
like,
some more
subscribe.
videos. And you
Yes.
share.
Send a
Sharing
super
is
chat. Couple
caring.
dollar super chat is helpful as well.
Oh, yeah, super chats are great. YouTube memberships are great. YouTube takes a big old chunk of those, but they do still help. And channel members get all kinds of perks. Channel membership starts at just 99 cents a month, and you get all the cool custom emojis that are voted on by the members. It's a democratic process. We have a bunch of them, including my eyeball for some reason. Again, voted on by the members. Only 99 cents. And that's, if all you want is the emojis, that's what you get. But at the higher levels, you get extra goodies. The next step up, which I think is $2.99, you get early access to every new regular recorded video. You get at least one monthly live stream, and you get access to all the members only content, the exclusive stuff. There's like 100 videos or something. I haven't counted in a while, but there's a bunch that are members only. And if you want to go to the very top level, you get even more goodies, like behind the scenes photos when I remember to take them. My apologies. I don't feel pretty very often these days, so I do what I can. But also shout outs in the closing credits at the end of videos. There's a bunch of goodies. So, um, however you can support, whatever way you want to support, I appreciate all of it because it
Yes.
helps me not die, as Pragmatic Crystal is sharing the link for right now, and I appreciate that very, very much. But also it helps the channel and thus the community and thus our goals to spread and empower humanism across the whole interwebs.
Yes.
So yeah, thank you. All right, there's my mid-show plugging of all the things. Oh, I really need to write a
Thank you,
script because
PC, for
I need
sharing the
to.
Black Non-Believers link on there for me. I
Yeah.
appreciate you.
Yep. PC's got all the linkies. Black non-believers, where you do you run the stream or do you moderate? I'm always forgetting.
I'm the moderator. Mandisa's still the one that does most of the talking. I just moderate and I do a lot of the technical things in the background of it.
Yeah.
I talk to
It's
the guests and stuff and plan stuff like that. But
okay.
yeah,
Yeah, like that's a big thing. Okay, so I'm often saying we need more voices, we need more creators, and that's true. But one thing that I don't often do is give like a public talk about things to be more effective at being a creator, to have an easier time. First of all, I understand a lot of people are very hesitant about being on camera. Pro tip, you don't actually have to. You can be a talking floating circle, like the skeptic, or like Viced Rhino, for example. He was behind a rhino avatar for the longest freaking time. It's fine. People will still watch what you have, what you're bringing up, if they enjoy that kind of content. If it's something for them, they'll watch it anyway. So don't feel worry about camera stuff. You do what you're comfortable with, but share what you know and share your perspective. Another thing is if you bring a guest on, it's very helpful to give the guest a quick rundown of what to expect. Like, I'm going to ask you these 5 questions, so don't be surprised by them. Or, we've got a 3-minute countdown before the show actually starts. So I'm going to push the button. It'll be 3 minutes and then we'll be on. I'll say hello and then introduce you. Like, just give them a rough outline of what to expect and it'll go so much more smoothly. And when you can get a guest, do, because I can't think of everything. I don't know a single person who can think of everything. Having other people with me to have different ideas helps create a more well-rounded experience for everybody, I think. Maybe that's just me. Maybe there is somebody who knows all the things. Um, Fox says, all I know is that I don't know. Hell yeah. Yes, thank you, PC. We love
I don't know
you.
either.
Dropping all the links. PC knows everything. At least where all the links are hidden. All right. So there's thank you for coming to my TED Talk immediately after my plug thing. Let's get back to what
This
Sean.
clown is talking about.
Yeah, at least he changed his hair. He doesn't have the Hello Fellow Kids faux mohawk. Faux hawk. Yes, a faux hawk anymore. Oh, goodness. Far be it from me to criticize people's fashion. I mean, Exhibit A.
You look good to
But
me.
still. What's that?
You look good to me.
One does one's best. But I mean, like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm new at being allowed to care about fashion. So there's times when I I'm a little bit over the top with my fabulousness, I suppose. A lot of people describe it as teenager syndrome. Like a lot of people who are only just starting to be able to express themselves go through the same phase as teenagers do, where what you're wearing is cringe as hell and gaudy as fuck, and nobody tells you. They're like, "Oh, you look fine." I'm going to tell you it's okay to not look fine because it's you being happy that makes the clothes look good, not the clothes making you look good. So it's okay. Be cringe, but be happy because you can. And that's what we love to see.
Some said like the cosmological argument, some said fine tuning, the origin of life, but something about creation pointing towards a creator was the number one response. Creation refers.
There's snow, so there must be a snower. There's mountains, so there must be a mountaineer. Which to me seems to be pointing to a pantheon of gods rather than a single being. I mean, we see this even within Christianity where they think God created everything, right? You still have multiple acts of creation. You've got the moment of creation for the universe. Poof, the universe comes into being. And then billions of years later, you've got the creation of our solar system and then the creation of the earth. And then you've got to take the initial conditions of the earth and change them because, you know, our atmosphere is not the same atmosphere this planet started with. It was much more like Venus's, although with much less pressure than Venus has. It was biological action that changed it to this lovely blue oxygenated sky we have today. So saying God is the same as bacteria, I guess. But however you want to look at it, there's another instance of creation. So God, the perfect creator, had to create several times, or there were several different creators. I mean, Earth is a vast system. It's got this huge range of ecological environments. Clearly, it couldn't be an accident. It had to have its own distinct, unique, all-powerful creator. Probably. So now we've got at least two gods. So what are we doing with this argument?
They don't know.
Look at the trees. The trees, yes, the trees. That means there must be a treer, an arborist, a divine forester. It's the only possible explanation. It's the best explanation, or something. It's fucking wild.
To a bunch of different particular aspects of the universe that seemingly point towards God. So the Kalam cosmological argument points to the beginning of the universe, to there being a beginner. So whatever.
Kind of. So Kalam, at least Bill Craig's version of the Kalam, is an actual syllogistic logic argument, which appears to be valid, but A, isn't necessarily sound, and B, doesn't actually get us to the conclusion that Bill wants to pretend it gets to. I'm Sean will probably explain what it is, so rather than double explain, I'll just let him do it, and if he doesn't, then I'll add a description.
Begins to exist has a cause. The universe began to exist. Therefore, the universe has a cause.
Okay, so that's a pretty fair summation. Premise one, everything that begins to exist has a cause. That's the part Craig added, begins to exist. It used to just say, everything has a cause. The universe exists, therefore the universe must have a cause. But that doesn't actually follow. That's a non sequitur with a composition division fallacy thrown in. Just because a thing applies to the elements that make up a thing doesn't mean that applies to the whole. And it works the other way around. Like, for example, you are a conscious being. If you're understanding the words I'm saying, you're probably a conscious biological entity made up of millions upon millions of individual cells. The fact you are conscious does not mean each of the individual cells that comprise you are themselves conscious. That's a composition division fallacy. So to say things within the universe require a cause does not mean that the universe itself requires a cause. It's a category error. It's a level of difference. But also, even if it's true that the universe does have a cause, that doesn't mean it's necessarily any particular cause. It doesn't have to be a fucking sky wizard who doesn't like shellfish. It doesn't even have to be some guy, an invisible friend. But B, where does that cause come from? Because if everything needs a cause, then that being who started the universe also needs a cause. And that's why Craig added that begins to exist. So he can just special plead that the magic being didn't begin to exist and therefore doesn't need a cause. But there's problems. One of the most obvious is that's undemonstrated. That's just another claim on top of the pile that he cannot support, but also it doesn't follow. And also, perhaps most importantly, it applies to the universe too. If you can special plead for the magic sky wizard doesn't need a cause, then you can do the same thing with the universe. You can say, well, if your thing doesn't need a cause, neither does mine. And mine requires less magic. There's less special circumstance and extra beings thrown in. So, by the rule of parsimony, mine is the better explanation. The universe works better without gods than with. Scott says, how does the wizard feel about women shellfish? they very much can't own property. Kelly has returned.
Yeah, my phone was being stupid.
They
But
do that from time to time.
my iPad, I should say. Yeah. What about foreskins? You don't like them either.
That's true. He's the perfect creator god who created everything perfectly, despite the number of times he fucked up according to his own literature. But whatever. He made you in his perfect image, but also you need to edit that perfect image to be more perfect, I guess. But he doesn't screw up. No. It's fucking ancient fascism. I did a video specifically about that. Fascism in the Bible. It's when they show you the truth and then demand you call something that is demonstrably not true the truth and reject the actual truth. Even though you know it's true, you have to double think, right? You have to have that cognitive dissonance of knowing that if you were made in God's image and you are a person with foreskin, that's a part of God's perfect image. It's an entailment. But at the same time, believe the foreskin is a flaw that needs to be removed. But also, God is perfect and doesn't make mistakes. But also, you're flawed and have a mistake that needs correction. It's just,
Yeah, like why are they even there if they're not if you don't want them to be there? I mean, I don't understand that.
uh-huh.
But I don't know. That's a whole tangent that I can go on. But yeah.
Yeah. Yep. I
Mm,
just work here.
and I'm just visiting.
Oh boy.
Fine
But yeah.
tuning points towards certain laws of physics and cosmology that exist within a very narrow range where the slightest change in those numbers would make the universe inhospitable to life.
So this is another one of those arguments that seems to be more sophisticated than it actually is, that actually doesn't have a case. It's the anthropic principle repackaged, right? Like, why are conditions on Earth such that humans are able to arise and build telescopes and look out at the universe? Well, because if they weren't, then we wouldn't be here to look out at the universe and wonder about it. As we can see on planets like Venus or Mars, where there are no humans with telescopes looking out at the universe. So it's not that the universe is fine tuned for life, it's that life only shows up in places where conditions happen to be suitable. The fine tuning argument turns that obvious demonstrable fact completely inside out and says, oh, well, there must be a magic reason that the universe is fine tuned for, despite the fact that Venus and Mars and the vast majority of space appear to be completely uninhabited and uninhabitable. Somehow the universe is fine tuned for life, and they make up a bunch of shit that's completely undemonstrated, if not outright false, to go along with it. Like there are certain laws of physics that appear to be adjusted just right, which is not demonstrated at all. We don't even know if the values can be different than what they are. But even if they were adjustable, that doesn't demonstrate anything, right? Like you
At
can
all.
roll a set of dice, and no matter how many dice and how remote the odds, you're going to get a result. Getting any result means you got a result. And whatever those values, there's going to be a set where anomalous properties emerge, no matter what they are. But also it isn't nearly as many dice as we think, or as he thinks, I should say, because many of our best physicists have shown over the decades that most of these finely tuned values are dependent on other values. Like, for example, the expansion rate of the universe is dependent on dark energy and gravity, which appear to be related to each other and may even be the same force, in the same way electricity and magnetism are both electromagnetism. And for a long time, we just didn't understand that they're the same thing, you know? I digress. The point is, there's very few values that can be adjusted in actuality, or so it seems, since we don't have any other universes to look at to see how fine-tuned this universe may or may not be. But also, we do know that certain adjustments to those values would make the universe more life-friendly than it actually is. So this is not the best possible world if your goal is to produce life. Life is possible in a very tiny, tiny percent of a very tiny, tiny percent. Like, I mean, it's not even just Earth, right? Like, the whole Earth isn't habitable. Land only makes up about a quarter, and out of that a quarter, only about 11% we can actually live on full time. And even then, we're still using technology. Like, we're not engineered by God or evolution. Where I happen to live, I need a house with heating, or I would freeze to death in the winter. God didn't make this habitable. It was human technology that made it possible for me to live here, despite the fact the environment tries to kill me half of the year, you know? So not exactly the hallmark of habitability.
Yeah, because most of the earth is water and it's ocean water, so we can't even drink it.
Mhm. I did have a theist come at me once and say the flood of Noah was real. And I go, "Okay, cool. Where'd the water go?" And he goes, "It's still out there. The water level's lowered a little bit to reveal the continents, but most of the planet is still flooded." And I was like, that's very not true, but points for novelty. I've never heard anybody make that argument before, that most of the world is still flooded.
Yeah, yeah. And like when you look at that, okay, there are fresh water and there's salt water. And if there was a flood, that means that the waters would have been mixed. And then the fish in in the life that was in the fresh water couldn't survive. And then the animals that were in the salt water couldn't survive either because there'd been too much fresh water,
Mhm.
So that's an argument in itself that they don't
But
want
it's
to.
okay, because anything that goes extinct, we can just poof more species into being, like we still see today, of course, more species being poofed into being. Happens all the time. By creationist math, I think it's something like 4 species a day. I'm probably wrong. I haven't actually looked up that statistic in a long time, but it's something ridiculous. Oh well.
Okay.
So the fine
Haunting
tuning seems
arguments.
best explained by a fine tuner. Others would be the origin of life. The amount of DNA you find in a cell, the complexity of information points.
The complexity, irreducible complexity, Behe's intelligent design argument. This is not just a video, it's several whole videos, including a fun video I did over on Misinformation's channel, or Misinterpretation's channel. My apologies. There's a lot of names that are similar that are very funny like that. Last week we did her very first live stream where we
Oh,
talked
cool.
about irreducible complexity in cellular machinery, and it was much fun. So make sure you check out her channel and subscribe, because she's going to be doing more of those coming up in the future, and they are tons of fun. Yeah, it's the eyeball argument. Fundamentally, it's the eyeball argument. The eye is complex. It could not evolve. It must have been designed. Except we see that it's evolved at least 9 different times in different ways from different species because it's useful. But it's not the same design. They're different, right? Because it's produced by evolution, not the guiding hand of a creator who for some reason is guiding rather than creating. But never mind that. Like the human eye is one of the worst designs. Our retinas are on backwards for one thing, and our range of colored vision is very limited. Like with all things in evolution, it's what's good enough to survive, not what's perfect, survival of the good enoughest. Proof of a mediocre creator, I guess. And DNA is the same. Our DNA is full of bullshit. It's riddled with bullshit. Only a fraction of our DNA actually actively codes for the proteins and things that make our cells operable. Most of it is just leftover material. But because there is no intelligent designer guiding things, our cells can't remove much of it because they don't know which stuff is important and which stuff is junk. They're not intelligent, and there's no intelligence behind it. It's just systems made by biological processes executing the things that they need to do in order to not die. If they don't do it right, they die, and that trait doesn't get passed on. That's it. It's a really long talk in and of itself, but suffice it to say, it boils down to the same thing. It's incredulity. It's, I don't understand how this thing works. Therefore, my made up thing is the best answer. I can't demonstrate my claim. All I can do is say, here's a thing I don't understand, and then assert my claim. It's the
What is
lack of
it?
evidence is the
Bliss
best
Farm
evidence.
says, we have fish eye eyes filled with a fluid, but observing an environment made of air, our view is so distorted.
Kinda.
Yeah.
We do a tremendous amount of adapting to make our
Yeah.
vision work. Our brains are interpreting information like crazy, filling in blind spots like a Photoshop AI. And as many of you have probably heard, the image that's actually received on our retina is upside down from the real world. And so our brain, I don't know that if the visual processor actually has an up and down to it, it doesn't really matter. But we're mentally flipping the image back upright effectively. And we've tested that too. We've had people upside down for a few days. And after something like 3 to 7 days on average, the brain adapts and flips the image.
Yeah, that's crazy because I
We're
didn't
not
even
actually
realize that.
seeing
Yeah.
a
Yeah,
solid reality. It's our
I
brain
think
filling
it's
in gaps.
because when we see it from our brain, it's like backwards and somehow it gets flipped over. Yeah, that's crazy. But yeah.
Mhm. It's exactly like if you take the HDMI cord out of the back of your monitor and you pull it out, it's not emitting light. It's just a stream of data, which gets interpreted by the graphics card in the monitor to produce an image. It's the same thing. The optic nerve is just like the HDMI cord. It's just a stream of data, which then has to be interpreted by a graphics processor, the visual cortex of the brain, to produce an image. But the actual image isn't transmitted, just the data. It's fascinating. So from a certain perspective, it's not the eye that sees, it's the brain. The eye is just a sensor.
Towards a mind or an author of life. Now, this first one will not shock you at all. Of course, William Lane Craig, when I asked him, he looked at me with a little smirk and he's just like, cosmological. The Kalam argument, of course. But two others kind of surprised me. Jay Warner.
Because that's what Bill Craig came to fame for. His whole thing, like we said earlier, was inserting the begins to exist in the cosmological argument so that he could make an attempt to special plead for his God. But this is where I'm going to insert my little 42-second commercial of silly things that theists say to demonstrate just how sound Bill's rock-solid reasoning is. when it leads him to certain entailments with his specific religion, along with a few other fun apologist thoughts.
It was actually a tremendous blessing to these children for them to be killed and go to heaven and be with God.
Carl, that kills people.
I have a problem with this stuff being normalized across the spectrum, and specifically, like, why push this on kids? Why introduce this to kids?
I want to be ignorant, honestly.
If God is not good, then guess what? We are all absolutely screwed.
Stop letting people pressure you into thinking.
And that's a good advice for all Christians, is don't let people pressure you into thinking. It only leads to questions and unhappiness and eventually happiness, but it's hard. You have to work through things and find your own way instead of being told how to live.
I'm going to read a comment. I swear this guy is a love child of William Lane Craig and JFK Jr. I mean,
RFK.
RFK. Lord, I'm sorry. Don't
Yeah.
come to me in your still grave and get me. But yeah, we talked about him on our Java and Jugs.
Oh yes. Yeah, we that was our bonus episode yesterday because the damn show took the day off, so we did the pirate thing and stole the time slot, and we talked about the Make America Healthy Again program. And
So if you
yeah, it was
haven't
pretty
watched
fun.
it, watch it. It was something.
Yeah, I linked to it a little earlier. Now, Sean does go on for a while. He was just about to bring up J. Warner Wallace and some other awful arguments. We've heard J. Warner Wallace's thing before. And, there's a lot that could be said about a lot of these things, but we are just about at our normal time window for today. And frankly, there's not all that much of value. So before we go, I want to take a look at our poll and see what we got. And the end results may be surprising. So let's see. The poll was up over the course of the show, and it was... I'm stalling because it always takes YouTube a minute to actually show me the poll results. It's very slow. You know what? I'll look on my phone. It's fine. How much evidence will there be? And 0% said 25%. 5% said 50%. This is weird, a percent saying a percent. 8% of people said 10% would be evidence. 86% of respondents said there would be 0 actual evidence presented. And I think y'all might be right, because while we didn't get through all the individual apologists' individual arguments, the pie chart that Sean presented, the one thing that could have been evidence instead of just fundamentally an argument from incredulity or ignorance with a non sequitur pointing at his particular favorite mythology, the one thing that would have been an exception was evidence for Jesus, except they forgot to present the evidence for Jesus.
I would say a confession. One of those should have been 0 because I voted on both my phones, and I kind of read the question wrong. So I was like, damn, I picked the wrong answer, but I couldn't change it. So one of those should have been 0% that I put down. And I actually put down 50, and I was like, wait a second, that's not right. But I couldn't change it. So that was me. One of those are wrong.
It's all
The
good.
answer is wrong.
I mean, 86%, like I was saying, I think it was yesterday, we very rarely get anything over 50%. 86% is fucking compelling for one of my shows anyway. It's pretty special. But
what if it had been 90?
Right? You're like, holy crap. It's near,
like, I can't change the
near
answer. Oh
unanimous.
no. I wanted to
Yeah.
change my answer, but I couldn't. So there you have, when I finally read it and understood it, I was like, oh no, I just
We do have lots more
read,
good stuff
Kelly,
coming up for you
read.
folks. Yeah.
Yes,
We
a
do have
lot of
lots
great
more good stuff
shows.
coming up for you folks this week. We've got I'm all out of order. Tomorrow we've got Eyeballs and Brains showing God. So more on Eyeballs, and AJ may join us for that. Some of the other ladies may join us. You know, they may not, who knows, but AJ expressed some interest, so we're looking forward to that. Tomorrow evening is the monthly member stream. So if you're a member, that's happening. If you would like to come, become a member. There's a button right here on the YouTubes, and I hope you do, because it helps. It helps me, and it helps the channel, and it helps all the other members, and it helps. So yay. Thursday, September 11th, we're talking about the United States, because people have been calling September 11th Patriot Day for quite some time. And we've been saying for the last 24 years that we would never forget and we would never let an enemy destroy our republic. And yet here we are.
Mm.
So we've got some shit to talk about. I don't often wax political, but we're gonna on Thursday. On Friday, we're back to Feminist Friday, Signs of a Demonic Woman. Saturday, of course, I'm over at Mark Reed's channel for our debate reviews. We go back
Are
and
you trying to out me with the women? Are you trying to out me or something?
we're all ungodly, dear. It's sort of our brand, you know? Anyway, there's lots more coming up, so make sure you're subscribed. Visit the website betterthanember.com for a bunch of different ways you can support, as well as links to a bunch of other cool creators whose content you might enjoy, and other goodies. There's lots of goodies over there.
I might not come in tomorrow, but I will be there for Thursday and Friday. It all depends on how I feel, but we'll see.
Yeah, well, I mean, I feel the same way. I'm like, I wish I could just be like, I may not come in tomorrow, but I mean, I have to push the buttons to start and
Yeah.
end the
Well,
show.
this is how you make your living, so it's kind of hard for you
Yeah, this is literally
to
my job. Now, I
not.
could
Yeah.
postpone a show, and if I have to, I will. But I do have to tell you, like, today pushed me right to my limit. I am in so much fucking pain.
Or get off this live and get some
Yeah.
rest and lay down and
So
stuff
I
like that.
appreciate y'all coming and dealing with me literally at my worst.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, it's it's been a time. And despite all of that, it has been actually kind of fun. You know, Sean McDowell is a silly man, but he makes content that's very, very refutable, and I appreciate that. But we do have lots of cool stuff coming. Before we go, I want to do the read the super chat thing. I think we had a couple today.
Oh,
Because
520.
those are the people who are helping to pay the bills around here, and I really, really appreciate that. So I want to give them the special shout out at the end. First was Muttley Von Eric with £2, who says, has he got a Kent Hovind DM screen? In reference to, Sean's contact with 100 different apologists, no matter how immoral they may be. And Liliball Trades, who sent $5 and said, I'll gladly let you take my damn money, Ember. And I appreciate that very, very much. So thank you all. Thank you, supporters. Thank you, those of you just joining us and having a good time along with us. We appreciate that as well. It's all good. Whatever you can do, however you can do it. I'm glad you're here. That's why we do lives. And if you're watching in the future, remember to subscribe so you can join us for future lives. We would love to see you in the live chat. But most of all, as always, remember, you do not have to make a big fuck all production of substituting arguments for evidence, thus demonstrating only that you have a total lack of evidence because you are better than religion. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks to the top level members and Patreon supporters for August: Miranda, Karen Butcher, Jessica the Transmetal Alchemist, Robin Webster, Maya Adkison, Jimmy Tux, Ian Chen, Kalasia, The Barely Bearable Atheist, Eric Wander, Jason Jacoby, The Mighty Filbert, Hunter Biden's Laptops, Larkwright, Greg S., Neurogeezer, Mage Greywolf, Faran Salas, Poor Claire, BTF Wayne, Cosmic Kyle, Bomb Poppy, RDZ, Billy Bongs a Lot, Marty Cameo, My Unfinished Sock, Austin Sims, Tinker Phil, Anarchic Fox, Sabrina Page, Leslie Hutchings, Gazela Mail, Evil Toe, Right-Handed Sith, Luke, D. Murphy, Jesse, Uncle Charlie, Ryan Coltastic, Karisu Yamato, Scott Duke, Michael Bell, Sumami, Citizen 9, S. Cook, James Nordoff, Heckleck, Velvet, KCA Randy, B.S. Lewis, Tori Swansiger, Whimsy, Kristen Slays, Godless Engineer, Fern Lovebond, Hillhugger, Karen Butcher, Milwaukee Atheists, Booba Sweat, Maya Adkison, My Unfinished Studio, Ian Chen Official, Introvert Ancom, Tilting Windmill, Christopher Tablante, Robin Webster, Proby666, Jason T, Action Squad, Robert Madewell, Doc Don Hogg, Jester, Sydney Raptor, Stardust Lilith, Jessica the Transmetal Alchemist, Jake, insert clever dapper inside joke here, Nelson, Supercritical Snake, Eli Slack, Geo Sam, Kalasia789, L Trucker, You Are Victoria, Polly Has His Cracker, Roman Weber, Leo Filius, Nikki Pare, Jasper, Yahooligan, and Pinworm. Thank you all so much. I feel energized and grateful that you're part of this community. Thank you.
Just like a spark that's breaking out. Can't make a stop, can't turn back now.